Hey, so we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to try filming on my iPad and see how that goes. So this might be fun. It looks super fuzzy on my end, but hopefully it'll look okay on your end. Not like you guys are here to see me anyway. You're here for the news. Well, so today's topic is all too familiar to gamers. Delays, yeah, specifically the delay of Dragon Federation. So Dragon Federation had an official release date on their website that it was going to be the end of 2024. Here we are, December, only a couple more weeks left. And our community was pretty restless today, so I reached out to the founder, Samson Madsen, and because I help run a community Discord, and I was like, hey, we should, kind of get an update on what's going on. It's been pretty quiet. The last Lauren story he had mentioned, or maybe 2 Lauren stories ago, he had mentioned that they wanted to do a 90-day incubation cycle similar to what we will actually see after launch. And if that's the case, then we're for sure not going to, they're not going to release in 2024. So, Dragon Federation's initial targeted release date was 2024, but it has since been pushed back. This isn't unique just to Dragon Federation, though. Delays are, in fact, a reoccurring theme across the gaming industry. Why do delays happen is a great question. Let's highlight some games that benefited from delays and discuss why some patience will create a better gaming experience, hopefully. So Dragon Federation, our beloved AI Dragon Companion experience, has shifted timelines. Originally, we hoped to see the full release by the end of this year, and instead, we just got an exciting, I thought it was fun, first night demo VR. So it's the first night with your Mountain Skull hatchling, essentially. And the mobile app incubation preview, which is just the incubation cycle. It doesn't include hatching. It doesn't include feeding the dragon post-hatch. It's just the incubation portion. But the big launch, not yet. So what we know is that the team is shifting from a VR to the mobile devices. Specifically, they were focusing a ton on getting out a VR experience, and then a lot of community feedback, realizing that most of the community has not purchased and does not want to purchase a VR headset for this experience, which is sad. I specifically bought a VR headset, expecting this to launch, so I bought a MetaQuest 3, and the only reason I bought it was for Dragon Federation. So because they've shifted focus, this probably means that they're having to rework some things, or at least rework their original timeline that they had. Dragon Federation has never provided much of an official timeline, because a lot of it, as Samson mentioned in his Lauren story, is that they're in this cycle where they go to investors and they say, hey, we need funding for our next development cycle. The investors say, okay, here's how much money you have. The company acquires those funds, and then they lay out a timeline based on that information. But this means that they do like these short kind of like cyclical sprints, as opposed to the full experience is going to take, say, $750,000. That's not a lot of money when you consider that a lot of entertainment actually costs millions. But I digress. So they're shifting their focus from VR to mobile devices, Android and iOS devices. And that's going to take time. Plus, creating a lifelike dragon simulation, it's not an easy thing. Especially one that will combine artificial intelligence, pet care, and pet training. So this news is quite disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing for myself. I'm frustrated just as much as the community is. But let's take a look at the bigger picture, right? Would we rather wait and get something truly amazing, or rush and face bugs, incomplete features, and frustration? So we kind of got a preview of this when we were dealing with the alpha test, right? We had so many people clamoring to get into the alpha test, and I know that because we were fielding that through Discord through the tickets, and I get pinged every time a ticket is open in our community Discord server. And people were just clamoring to be part of this, but they didn't provide feedback. We did have some, don't get me wrong, but when you're dependent on continual feedback to be able to make continual development and you're not getting that feedback, that's kind of a problem. People were very frustrated with the bugs. I had people sending completely inappropriate messages to me and to other members of our moderation team, much less the morale that affects not only a small team of developers. Just a fun thing, why don't you go to dragonfederation.com, go to the About Us page, and tell me how many people you see there. How many people on the team do you see there? And then tell me that with that many people, you can create as much of an app as Dragon Federation has created. Go ahead, I'll wait. I'm not going to give you the answer in this video. I actually expect you to go to the website and see how many people are on their team page. So let's talk about some other games that were delayed, but turned out better for it. I'm going to go ahead and start with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Nintendo was originally aiming for a 2015 release, but the game didn't actually launch until 2017. And people love it. It's a masterpiece, it revolutionized open world gaming. And here's a fun one, Cyberpunk 2077. Whoo boy, that's going to be a hot topic. The launch, it launched with issues after multiple delays. The continued development post-launch improved it immensely, but what's the key lesson there? Clearly they needed more time. Consumers were very upset that it wasn't releasing on time. I get it. I paid money. I don't want to wait. In fact, I have a game I bought 2 years ago that I'm still waiting on. Vampire the Masquerade, The Bloodlines 2. Pre-ordered it. They still have my money. I'm still waiting on it. I'm not on their website telling them how upset I am, because honestly, at this point, I just hope it gets made. But that's me. Not everyone's me. Hollow Knight Silksong was delayed multiple times. Team Cherry knows their fans will wait because they trust the quality of the final product. The same can be said for Starfield, which saw a massive hype build up over years of delays, but delivered a solid experience that could have been a mess otherwise. And I'm oversimplifying a lot of these games and a lot of these delays, because we can look back on them, which is kind of hard to do right now with Dragon Federation, where it's like, we want it now. So why are delays so common in the gaming industry? Specifically, we have the complexity of development. You're talking about hundreds of people in a AAA game working on a project together. I want you to think of your own work teams and how many people are on that. How often are you waiting on something from someone else? How often do you get sick? How often do you have emergencies in your own life? Much less, now let's add multiple people to that complexity. Modern games are not simple. They require massive teams, cutting-edge technology, and endless testing. Developers can encounter bugs, optimization issues, or creative roadblocks that demand time to address things that they weren't prepared for. I'm very lucky that in my life I'm surrounded by programmers, a bunch of college kids. They're great people, but when I was looking for gifts one year for them, I found a funny shirt that is pretty great. So it says, I fixed one bug in one line of code, and now I have 99 other bugs in 99 other lines. And essentially the thing is, you can fix one thing and then it breaks something else. And that's not something you run into in a lot of other industries, and so it's something that frustrates people who are not tech people. I'm not very tech-y, in that I press a button and I want it to work. I don't like to fix these problems. That's why we have other people who fix these problems, right? So a lot of studios are trying to actively avoid putting their teams into crunch time that is unhealthy, last minute overtime, and burns out developers. Now, obviously not every studio, there's plenty of studios that have terrible experiences, but how many of you want to advocate the Dragon Federation do that to their team? Remember that page I asked you to look at? How many people were on that page? How many people should we work into an early grave? How many people should have heart attacks or PTSD by the time this project is finished? It sucks to hear. I know. I don't like it any more than anyone else, but I also don't wish anyone to be hurt. Delays can help keep a team sane. They can help them become more creative and put more love into the project. How many of you work great when you're under crunch time? I mean, some people thrive. I don't. But, you know, what if you have people who don't flourish under crunch times? Player expectations. So fans like us expect a lot. How many of you want to think about, like, this year alone, a lot of you have asked for Talking Dragons. Did any of you have that already programmed for Dragon Federation? Was that something that was already on their roadmap, or was it something they added to their roadmap to make this experience even better, because that's what a lot of people want? Delays can often mean that developers are striving to meet expectations rather than releasing something that's half-baked. And I know waiting isn't fun, but why is patience worth it? So a delayed game, hopefully, if done right, is eventually good. A rushed game is forever bad. What's a famous rushed game that I love? Okay, it's a Jurassic Park game. Jurassic Park Trespasser. They were originally told, Seamus Blakely on Jurassic Time has a awesome interview where he specifically talks about this. Him and his studio was told that they had 2 more years of development time than they were given. They had to build an entire engine because there wasn't an engine. Like, when everybody, you know, was scrambling, oh, are you guys working in Unreal Engine 5? You know, sure. Jurassic Park Trespasser, they had to build their own engine. They had to build a physics engine, for those of you who aren't familiar. It was supposed to be the best physics engine of its time. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, so when you start talking like gaming, techie stuff, I don't get it. I don't. So it was apparently ahead of its time, but then because it released, there was a bunch of jank. I guess the day it released, they had to do like a day 1 patch, but they weren't prepared to have to do a day 1 patch, so like launch day was awful. I don't know. Sorry, Jurassic Park Trespasser is off the cuff, so I don't have a bunch of research in front of me for it. Delays will allow for innovation, refinement, and polish. Our dragons will be better companions, more interactive, and more fun if the devs take their time. In the meantime, we can enjoy what we do have. There's the incubation preview, which is available on Android and iOS. There's the First Night Hatch VR demo, which is available on SideQuest. And then there's a bunch of behind-the-scenes content. There's, in the Discord channel, there is a whole channel that is just images. That's just official images that are released. A lot of them were early content. I understand that, like, at this point, everything's slowed down. Dragon Federation is currently in an investment window, which means in order to move forward, they need to have money. And I know some of you are like, I paid this money. yes, you paid money. Dragon Federation has also brought down their prices on a lot of things to make it more accessible for people, because we heard the community loud and clear that it was too expensive. So they went back and they said, okay, where can we remove costs? Where can we, like the R&D for these eggs is already done, so we don't need to pay for R&D, but also bringing in funds for R&D means new R&D isn't happening, things like that. So yes, the funds have, until the investment window closes, there is no, from a business perspective, this is how businesses run. Again, I'm not an employee of Dragon Federation, but typically if you're waiting on funds, nothing is happening in the background because you don't have money to spend. So yes, there's not as much behind the scenes, but we have all those beautiful lore and stories. We've had 8 months of lore and story, guys. That is on average viewed by only about 10 people. We have more than that in our Discord channel. I do my best to update the community with anything that happens. As soon as a concept image is shared or a 3D model is shared, that's great. But again, until those funds come in from the investors, there's no money unless somebody wants to come forward and say, hey, I'll pay the $500 for a concept image. I'll pay the $10,000 for you to hire a marketing person that's better than the one we have. I'll pay you $10,000 to hire a new developer. I'll pay you, a new programmer. I'll pay you, the $30,000 that it's probably going to take to get the server up and running. Until we have people who can come forward and do that, kind of stuck in this waiting on investors, which I don't like any more than the next person. I actually really hate this stuff. Everybody is welcome to join the Discord channel. It's December, so today's December 9th. On December 13th, we're closing our window that we're kind of doing like a a Secret Santa gift exchange. We're keeping it to $10. The mods and admins, we do ask that you let us know. I'll be reaching out through a private message to to those who sign up for Secret Santa, but we're trying to do our best to keep everybody in the same shipping regions, so hopefully to keep those shipping prices down as much as possible. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. When I reach out to you, if you're not interested, that's fine too. But that is something we wanted to do in our Discord group. Ferox and Finnick Tech talked about it in Discord, so we heard you. We're trying. I know it's frustrating. Shipping out those gifts is not going to be until late January, so we wanted to allow people to take this holiday opportunity. First, spend holidays with your family. People on the internet are not more important than your family, unless they're terrible family. That's between you and your family. But strangers don't come before people who are closer to you in real life, right? So please don't abandon work. Don't abandon your families. Please make sure to spend time with them if possible, and if that's a healthy thing for you to do. And then just remember that we do have strangers who would love to spend time with you as well, and get to know you and take part in the Santa gift exchange. Please join our Discord community. We're all big fans of dragons. We're all big fans of this project. Why don't we all hang out together and chat and share in the woe of, oh, it sucks that this is delayed, but also be happy that a delay means they're not rushing. I mean, it is what it is. I know that there's a lot of planned changes heading forward. Samson mentioned that at least for January, February, March, he likely will not be able to do lore and story. So if you saw that on Lauren's story, then if you were on the Discord and you saw the event changed, I did go through and remove all the Lauren stories that come up after Christmas time, at the end of December, sorry. Because I'm waiting to hear more. I know Ferrex got mad at me for this. So I am not an employee of Dragon Federation. But whenever I see a change on the website, anytime I see a change on the website, I do my best to prepare the Discord in regards to those changes. So sometimes you'll see edits, like right now, there's been a bunch of edits around the shipping. Currently, shipping is about 30 days. Just expecting that holiday delay. Things like that. So anytime I see a change coming up, I do my best to prepare for it. Just because I do my best, I might not announce it, is essentially what I'm getting at. Until I know for sure that Samson is not going to be available on January, February, March, I don't want people to be like, oh, it's not happening. Again, we only have about 10 people who show up to these, but I don't want him to tell me and it be that first, January Lauren story and people show up expecting it and then be mad that nobody showed up. It's quite a delicate balancing process. There's 500 of you in the Discord server. 300 egg owners, and it's just, I'm doing my best to balance these things, and sometimes that means I make a preemptive change on Discord, expecting a later, for clarification to come down the line before I make an announcement. The same way that this delay happened, and today I shared a message from Dragon Federation to the community that there was officially a delay, but a while ago I actually had removed the date, the official release date on Discord because I had seen that it was removed from the website, but I had not received any confirmation on whether there would be a delay or not. And this was all in September. So I understand that people are frustrated about this. I'm frustrated as a customer who paid in 2022 when eggs were $1,000. I get it. I get the sadness to see, oh, if I would have waited 3 or 4 more years, the price on these eggs would have been this much. I understand, I thought it was gonna come out in 2022. When I purchased my egg in September of 2022, by the way, that was before they shipped eggs out. I thought it was going to release that holiday season. Thought it would release by the end of the year. We didn't get eggs shipped until the following year. I hyped my son up for Christmas that he was going to get this dragon egg. Only for it not to even be sent out because they hadn't even finished producing or manufacturing these eggs. So I understand. It's very frustrating. If you're not familiar with the gaming environment, you're not familiar with this, I was explaining in Discord earlier, and this is just from my experience, that it's becoming more and more commonplace for a company to just provide a year instead of an official launch date. Or what they'll do is they'll provide a launch date, but it's after they've pretty much finished development and they're only in a few more months of testing. And then they provide a launch date. It used to be that they would just crunch through to it, but now they're not really doing that anymore. But typically you'll see da-da-da game releasing 20XX, right? Whatever year. And then you wait all year long, you're constantly waiting for new news to drop. And then if it gets to the last quarter of that year and they haven't announced a launch, you've got one of two options. Either they're going to launch holiday season, or they're probably not launching that year at all, even though that was a plan. And then you're probably going to hear about a delay. And delays suck. I know I was I still am a huge ARC fan, and there were delays after delays after delays for ARC Survival Evolved. And it was in, I can't remember what that's called, where it's a preview game. early access. It was in early access, which means it's not completed, which is just another fancy term for alpha or another fancy term for beta. The idea is essentially the game is playable. It might still be jank. They're still working on it. It'll come out eventually, hopefully. And a lot of games can fail at any time. If they can't continue to acquire funding, then they have to stop. Yeah. And those are hard. Anyway, hopefully the wait just means that the launch and the experience, because this isn't a game, it's an experience, it's an AI companion, not a video game, but that this will be even more special than it currently is, than what we see it as, what we know it as. Dragon Federation is still open to feedback, so if there's still features you hope to see in the mobile app, we've had suggestions like sleep tracker like Pokemon Go, we've had suggestions like health trackers, not Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep, and a lot of those things, and all the suggestions hopefully make it bigger and better. And Dragon Federation is always welcome to you're always welcome to open a ticket in our Discord if you're a developer who wants to come and work on something. If you're a programmer, a 3D artist, a music person, and you want to come and volunteer, please open a ticket and let the moderators know, hey, I want to volunteer for Dragon Federation, here's what I can do. Provide us with a portfolio of stuff so that we can escalate that to Samson and hopefully find you a perfect fit. Anyway, this is Dragon Federation's delay episode. Thanks so much, and I hope all of you have a great rest of your day.